Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Albazi. But before we get into that, you notice I have the mic extra close to my face, so maybe that will help some of you guys who are having, I don't know, microphone issues, speaker issue, AirPod issues. Maybe I'll sound louder, and I'll try to do some other things as well, but this is just me hearing you guys out a little bit, I guess. Meeting y'all halfway. So hopefully, this is where I get entangled. Let me untangle this wire. All right, that's a little bit better. So hopefully this helps the audio, hopefully. But we'll see. I'll keep experimenting. Maybe I'll get a new mic. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's not, but we'll see. But anyway, first fight on the card, we got Jack Shore versus Youssef Zalal. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Youssef Zalal to beat Jack Shore. I think Jack Shore's an amazing talent and whatnot, but I just feel like featherweight's not his weight class. I don't really like his momentum currently. You know, what is he like? I need 1-1 fight in between against Makwan Amirkhani. He got stopped by Simone at, dominated Edward by Simone at bantamweight. Yeah, then beat Makwan in between. Then he got dominated in his last fight and stopped. So he's been stopped in his last two losses. I feel like Zalal is coming to his own. I feel like he's the better overall fighter. My main concern here for Zalal is maybe his wrestling, grappling, because I feel like sometimes he can be too comfortable off his back, and that was an issue for him at points in his career, different points in his career. And Shore does have an underrated wrestling, grappling game, but I think the size will be too much. And I feel like Zalal has kind of, fixed that area up in his game, or at least that tendency up in his game. And yeah, he just had a lot of good momentum on the side, and he's not here to, lose and be cut from the UFC again. And especially saying Topuria, who he gave a very hard fight for. And I think that was Topuria's debut, I believe, in the UFC. I think Zalal's going to be motivated. He's bigger, motivated, more well-rounded. I think he's the much better striker. He's longer, he's bigger. Solid grappler as well. Again, I think he could play jiu-jitsu too much, and that could end up with him spending time on his back, But I think he'll be able to patch it all here, break. I said decision here. I think it could be second round submission. So I'm gonna stick to my original prediction decision. But hey, I might put a bet on that second round sub for Zalal. But yeah, I think he'll be able to chop Shore's leg up, stuff his takedowns, maintain, address the grappling of Shore, be the longer, quicker, more technical striker, and beat Shore over 15 minutes. So in this one, I have Youssef Zalal via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Ivana Petrovic to beat Jamie Lynn Horth. I feel like it's a pretty evenly matched fight. I don't understand why Horth is such a big favorite. She's like not young, particularly young, not particularly so amazing skill. I feel like they match pretty well. Meaning I feel like Horth's taking up his head look pretty terrible in some of these fights. And her chin look very questionable. Petrovic will be the longer, bigger fighter. And I think they match it pretty evenly. So I'm going with the longer, younger fighter here. I think she can take advantage of some takedowns of Horth. Horth's no slouch in the grappling department, but I have seen her get taken down. I've seen her spend time on the ground. And yeah, I think Petrovic can match her on the feet, probably outland a little bit more, land heavier on the feet, probably pressure some bit, and score some takedowns, and edge out a close decision over Jamie Lynn Horth here. So in this one, I have Ivana Petrovic via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Chad Anheliger versus Cody Gibson. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is let me try to adjust the mic a little bit more. Let me see what I don't need to speak because don't have no sound on the screen. It's just my mic, and that's all I need. So yeah, maybe that helped too. But anyway, yeah, I got Cody Gibson low confidence. This really should be average, but I already made my confidence, which is low. But this is really low key average confidence. Cody Gibson to win here by decision. He could get a stoppage as well. But Anheliger has been a pretty tough guy for the most part. But yeah, Cody Gibson will be the better grappler. He's longer, he's bigger, the better striker, better grappler. I think he's the better overall fighter. Anheliger is tough. He's a gamer, but I think Cody Gibson, just in my opinion, the better overall fighter. I think he'll be able to get a better him on the feet, be long, stab him with teeps to the body, some stepping knees, some elbows, be able to out volume him on the feet, be able to out grapple him, get takedowns and build up control time, maybe throw in some submissions. But yeah, Anheliger being a tough in game, but Cody Gibson just, in my opinion, just being better everywhere. Better pace, better striking, better grappling, better ring IQ, and beating Anheliger by decision here. So in this one, I got Cody Gibson via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Sergey Sidey versus Garrett Armfield. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Sergey Sidey to beat Garrett Armfield. Yeah, the confidence could be average here. I do think Sergey Sidey is clearly the better fighter in my opinion on paper. But I think I need to see him get his feet wet more in the UFC before I can really say anything. These guys can be good and whatnot. They get in the UFC, it just don't match up their skills and their, I guess, everything just don't match up. It don't pan out. Like I said, this guy could look like this and look like that. They get in UFC, it just proves like, yeah, they ain't this and that. So this is one of the fights where I'm gonna really be a measuring stick. I might bet on this fight, but it's really for me a measuring stick. But I think Surrey City is the better fighter. It's not like Garrett Armfield is such a great offensive wrestler. He's not. He has okay defensive wrestler, but nothing special there. Nothing special about his defensive wrestling. Especially nothing like, I'm running over my words, but especially nothing particularly special about Armfield's offensive wrestling. His defensive wrestling is okay. Offensive wrestling, really, nothing really even much to know here. City should be able to address the grappling if that's the case. You know, if he's the taller fighter, bigger fighter. I think he'd be the better striker. And I think he pushes a better pace. I feel like Armfield takes off, breathers at the end of every round and whatnot. I could see City stopping Armfield, but Armfield has been pretty tough. And I think for the most part, when he has been stopped, it's been by submission. But yeah, I see a good competitive scrap, but I think Surrey City will be bigger, longer, more technical. And Armfield may be the more well-rounded fighter, but can he really use his other skills? Like, can he use his wrestling? Can he use his grappling effectively? I don't think so. So I see in this one, Surrey City beating him by decision here. Now to our next one, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Alexander Romanov versus Rodrigo Nascimento. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Rodrigo Nascimento to beat Alexander Romanov. Could be a pick 'em fight. Really, well, not even pick 'em. Because Romanov is like, pick him in the first round, because Romanov can be very strong in the first round, very powerful takedowns, really good wrestling in the first round, but fades pretty bad after that first round. And Nascimento is a pretty decent level grappler, so I feel like he can address the submission skills of Romanov, maybe somewhat address the grappling of Romanov, and at least prevent him from getting to a position where he could finish, if not, finishing himself, Nascimento. But yeah, at the very least, I feel like Nascimento can survive the first round. Like, worst come to worst, I feel like Nascimento can survive the first round. And if anything, Nascimento, when he has lost, has been by knockout. He got knocked by Dawkins. He got knocked out by Derek Lewis. And I think he maybe got knocked out one other time. Whereas Romanov, I think he's been TKO'd. I don't know if he's been subbed in the UFC. But his exhaustion has been a much clearer path to losing for Romanov. Decisions, stoppage. And I think Nascimento pushes a better pace. I think he's more well-rounded. I think he's a better striker. I think he has a better gas tank. Nothing phenomenal about his gas tank. If his gas tank was better, it'd probably be average confidence. But the fact that he himself, Nascimento, has a bad gas tank or a questionable gas tank leads me to just low. His chin, is the issue, but Romanov hasn't really been shown much on the feet either. So yeah, I think Nascimento will be able to address his grappling, address his first round rush, extend him, and I think he beats him over with decision. Like, not really having pop to put him away, but having enough to just outwork him, maybe hurt him at points in this fight. But Romanov probably been able to desperado wrestle and hold on to him at times, not really getting no actual takedowns later in the fight to keep himself in the fight. Whereas Nascimento's the one really doing effective damage and looking for a finish over a fading Romanov, but he's not able to put the stamp on Romanov. Fight goes the distance. Nascimento wins by decision here. So in this one, I have Rodrigo Nascimento via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Charles Jourdain versus Victor Henry. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going, what I went, low or average? I went low. Victor Henry to beat Charles Jourdain. Confidence could be higher, but Jourdain is a good fighter. He is the younger fighter. He's like nearly a decade younger. But I do like this matchup stylistically for Victor Henry. Low confidence Henry to beat Jourdain. I think Henry's the more technical fighter. Jourdain, I wouldn't say Jourdain's a technical fighter, but I would say he's the most blow you out the water technical fighter. He's not the biggest fighter, so it's not coming down with no huge size advantage. He's not coming down with no speed advantage. He's not coming down like with really any big advantage. I feel like Henry will be faster. He'll be more technical. Jourdain might be more explosive, but that's not really an issue for Henry. He could deal with explosive guys that are good in spurts. He could really deal with everything that Jourdain brings. And Henry's an experienced guy. He's still solid enough. I think he's the better grappler of the two. Yeah, it's really. I feel like what Jourdain would really bring here is this striking. He could try to grapple, but again, that's not really Henry's issue. That's just going to tire him down, make his strikes even slower, build his arms up with make his arms heavy. What's that thing called? I'm forgetting the name, but anyway, make his arms and limb heavy, trying to grapple to no avail. And Henry, just like I said, weathering that or just addressing it and going back to out striking him, being cleaner, landing more, landing sharper, landing flusher shots. I see this going the distance. I think Jourdain will put on a good performance. He'll go out there and make a competitive fight. But I think Henry just going to be more savvy, more slick, more sharp, more technical. And just more technical overall. Like I said, Jourdain will be quick, dynamic at points, but Henry will just be the naturally quicker fighter at the lighter weight class. And I've been a long time bantamweight and fighting all over the world and whatnot. And I see Henry beating Jourdain by decision here. So In this one, I got Victor Henry via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Ariane Lipski versus Jasmine Jasudavicus. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going high confidence Jasmine Jasudavicus to beat Ariane Lipski. And yeah, Ariane Lipski just has a very terrible track record with wrestlers, particularly not grapplers, but like wrestlers in particular. And Jasmine Jasudavicus probably is the best wrestler one of the best wrestlers, like top 2, top 3 at least in the division. I'm not gonna say top 1. She's like top 3 as far as takedowns given versus takedowns gotten, like takedown ratio. Like she fought some of the best wrestlers that's currently in this weight class, and she has out-wrestled. She's out-wrestled Miranda Maverick. She has out-wrestled Tracy Cortez, and it's been some other ones as well. So she's been able to take down fighters, control, has good ground and pound, good control on the ground, good sub game as well. And Lipski, as we saw against Montana De La Rosa, she just got taken down, dominated. She even let the lesser Shevchenko sister just take her down and dominate on the ground. Then her last fight, she gave up 6 takedowns. So her takedown defense clearly has not really improved. Like for a little while, she kind of faked it a little bit because she was going with some BJJ fighters who don't typically have the best takedown offense to begin with, and she was able to defend their takedowns. But every time she goes in with a real solid wrestler or a person with a good takedown offense, she usually just gives up takedowns very easily and doesn't have the best defense on the ground. I think Jasmine Jasudavicus is just going to be a take her down, controller, break her down, could potentially get a stoppage. Look for that second round TKO, but I've already made my pick. High confidence Jasmine Jasudavicus, and I see it going the distance, just her taking her down, controlling her, and dominating her on the ground. So in this one, I have Jasmine Jasudavicus via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the bantamweight division, we got Ayman Zahabi versus Pedro Munhoz. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going Ayman Zahabi, low confidence to beat Pedro Munhoz. Yeah, I think Pedro Munhoz is a solid fighter, but I like Ayman Zahabi's momentum. And also I think, he was the dog when I first, made my quick pick. He's the slight favorite now that I'm making my full card prediction, but yeah, my picks don't really change. Yeah, but as far as what people kind of initially were perceiving about Zahabi in this one, they were like, I feel like they were kind of just underestimating him a bit, or just too early classifying him, like, based off a loss. He lost this fight, he lost that fight, he's not that good, he's not this, he's not that. But Zahabi, at no point was he a bad fighter. He had some losses. The Morales one might have been a bad one. Getting caught by a spinning back elbow. What happens, people get caught. But he has always been a highly technical fighter, well-skilled, well-versed. He doesn't really have too many great weak points. I think he kind of has a little bit of a weak chin, maybe. But he has solid striking, solid grappling, solid fight IQ. Could have a little bit higher output, but yeah, I think he's coming to his own now. He's on a good streak. Munhoz is kind of declining. Zahabi will be the taller, longer fighter. I think he's quicker. I think he's sharper. I think he's a more technical fighter. And I think he can make this a game of touch, but I think he'll do very good against that. Fighters that are, always in the gym. His brother, Faraz, is the coach. And, they're very technical. They're very good at picking the angles, picking the shots, and landing and not getting hit. They're very good at doing that. And Zahabi has that experience, in bundles and stuff. Has, rubbed shoulders with a lot of high-level guys coming to TriStar. And he knows how to navigate this type of fight. Munhoz is definitely the more lethal fighter as far as potentially knocking him out, potentially subbing him. But Munhoz hasn't really finished no one in a long time. And I think Zahabi can use his length, use his technical skills, and stick and move and avoid the big kicks from Munhoz, avoid the short T-Rex arms of Munhoz for the most part, and beat him to a decision. I still see it as a competitive fight, but I think Zahabi will do a good job of keeping him at bay and not allowing Munhoz to close that distance to really land too much effective shots or too much flush shots and beat Munhoz by decision here. So in this one, I have Ayman Zahabi via decision. Now to our next one, we have in the welterweight division, we got Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going average confidence Mike Malott to beat Trevin Giles. And this is really one of those picks where it should be low. I think a couple of these other picks could have been average, but this one should have been low. But I already made the quick pick and already said it was average, so I'm gonna stick with average. And he should win. It's not like Trevin Giles has any kryptonite for him. Trevin Giles can potentially pull upset. This could easily end up being one of those close fights that could go either way, and the judges just pick who they want to win. It could easily go that way. But I think Mike Malott should have it. I think he's the better grappler. I think he has more composure. And really, his last fight, he was dominating the whole fight. It was just made a small lapse against a veteran like Neil Magny, who is actually a winner. Magny might be at the end of his career, might be this, might be that. But Magny is a proven winner, and he has a guy that has proven many times to be able to come back from behind and beat people, especially when he was on the come up. Magny was a guy like was often the underdog. He would go in these fights, look bad to start, turn it around and stop his opponents. And that was just a vintage Magny performance. Trevor Giles has not shown to be that guy that can have a bad start and then turn it around. If anything, he could look good a lot of times early, then he gets knocked out. So I think Magny is the better grappler. I think he has the better fight IQ. They already fought in a grappling match. He beat him. I think it was like a decision or something. So not the greatest sign. Or did he sub him? I think it was a decision. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm going decision here, Mike Mayotte, but I definitely could see a club and sub, second round sub, like Trevor Giles dropping his hands once again, leaving his chin up, getting caught with something, and then sub. But I'm going to say decision. I think it'll be an eky close decision, but I think Mike Mayoette's going to come off to a good start, and I think he's going to make the better decisions here, probably land the harder shots more consistently. Giles probably get a good start, but Mike Mayotte. Who's that? Mike Mayotte, even still could win the first round, but I say first round probably go to Giles ever so slightly. Maybe 2 judges to 1 give it to Giles, but second, third go to Mayotte, and I think particularly the third round will go heavily to the Mayotte. Probably by that point, he's going to probably be to hurt Giles, get close to a finish, but I don't think he's going to be able to get it in the third round. But yeah, probably clear enough second, but very clear third for Mayotte. If anything, he can win all 3 rounds, but that's just kind of how I'm saying in my head. But yeah, I think Mayotte had the better conditioning of the two, has the better fight IQ, better defense of the two, better grappling. Striking, at least in the first round, goes to Giles, but over the course of the fight, Mayotte is more disciplined, and that will come through as it has come against Giles multiple times. So in this one, I got Mike Mayotte via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, we got Marc-Andre Barriault versus Dustin Stoltzfus. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Dustin Stoltzfus to beat Marc-Andre Barriault. Barriault's he's a solid fighter. They're both solid fighters. Stoltzfus has been underrated here for whatever reason. I guess Barriault has had the better UFC career. But stylistically wise, Barriault has not really beat any too many grapplers. I think he has beat one grappler that had no wins in the UFC. But other than that, he's been out grappled, pretty bad every single time he goes with anyone that has the skills to grapple him. The Iron Turtle, I forget his name right now, looked like Khabib against him. Hernandez, was it Alex or Anthony? I think it's Anthony Hernandez. I think got like 10, 20 takedowns on him, then subbed him. And it's been a couple other fights, but he so far has, as far as grapplers, like solid grapplers with wins in the UFC, he's like 0-3 or 0-4 against them. And Stoltzfus striking has been improving. It's not like Barriault's a big puncher. He's more so a grind you down and stop you more so than a guy that has a big power. He has, I think, decent power in his hand, but he's not a notable puncher. That's what I'm saying. He's not a big puncher. Power there, but he's not a big puncher. Again, he's more of a slow grind, slow cook type fighter. And I think Stoltzfus can take advantage of Barriault's lack of takedown defense, weakness in the grappling department. And I'm looking at like a second round sub for Stoltzfus. I think he'll be able to take Barriault down, break him down, surprise him on the feet a bit. If anything, he might be able to rock Barriault. Barriault's coming off a very brutal stoppage loss. I know Stoltzfus coming off a knockout loss, but nowhere near as bad as Barriault's stoppage loss. But I'm not suspecting Stoltzfus to really be the better striker. But I'm saying I feel like he can gain the respect of Barriault on the feet, then look to mix in takedowns, mix it up. And I think he'll do a much better job of mixing up than Barriault would. I don't think Barriault's going to do a good job of mixing up the grappling. More so probably have a striking approach, where Stoltzfus can surprise with the striking, mixing the grappling, and create success in both things by mixing in the other element. And eventually be to get Stoltzfus down, break him down in the first round, mix it up again, take him down, and then break him down, tap him out, second round. So in this one, I have Dustin Stoltzfus via second round submission. Now to our next one, we have in the heavyweight, this is light heavyweight division, we got Caio Machado versus Brinson Ribeiro. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Caio Machado to beat Brinson Ribeiro. And Ribeiro's actually pretty live here, to be honest. He actually looked pretty good in his last fight. It was a losing effort, but it was a fight he was supposed to get washed in, but he actually made his opponent desperado wrestle and just to eke out a decision over him. So he looked actually low-key good in his last fight. And it's not like Caio Machado is such a well-run fighter. Oh, he got this, he got that, or he's this, he's that. They're both really in the same category, to be honest. And they both won their Contender Series fight and looked, I guess, decent on there. And they both, I think, are winless inside the UFC. Ribeiro just happens to be 0-2. I think Machado's like 0-1 as far as in the UFC. But I'm going to Caio Machado. I think he has the less worse momentum. He's the bigger heavyweight. I think he has more functionality to his striking. I feel like Ribeiro is more just loads up on the power. I think Machado has more finesse with his striking, and I think that will be able to keep him through. And also, I think Ribeiro has kind of a glass chin. I'm going to say decision here. I think a knockout could happen, but I'm not. My method of winning here for the fighter is definitely not high. My Picking who I'm picking is not high, and definitely the method of how this fight ends is not high. I can see this easily going to a low tier striking decision, or just a sloppy decision, or I can see a quick knockout. I can see a late knockout, but I'm ultimately just going Kyle Machado to win by decision here. I think it'd be a decent competitive scrap, but I think Machado will be throw more with more volume, have more finesse to striking, and Ribeiro will be a little bit predictable. It's be effective but predictable. But Machado will be able to adapt and just mix it up and be able to beat him by decision here. So in this one, I have Kyle Machado via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, we got Derek Lewis versus Jourdain Diniz. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going Derek Lewis, low confidence to beat Jourdain Diniz. And I don't understand why Diniz is such a favorite. You can kind of look at his track record with Derek Lewis, but Diniz does not really fit the bill. And the level of fighter that he did lose to is on a much different level. Like, who did he lose to? He lost to, start up with the big ones. He lost to Pavlovich, a guy who was close to a title. What was it for? He won an interim title, or he didn't win an interim title. He fought for the interim title against Aspinall Laws. He fought Tai Tuivasa, who has historically had a pretty sturdy chin for the most part and has power and had accomplished much more by the time before Derek Lewis and was on a good streak by the time before Derek Lewis. Surreal Gone. And then you got like Daniel Cormier. So you could try to act like Derek Lewis is this bum, but Derek Lewis has a more accomplished career than a lot of these people across all weight classes, to be honest. His style might not be the prettiest or this and that, but it is effective. So, yeah, and Jourdain Diniz, he fought a grappler who was forced to strike because they didn't want to say he was going to cut him. He cut him regardless. And he had him on the feet for pretty much 12 minutes and couldn't knock him out. And actually got rocked a couple times in there as well. So, yeah, I think Derek Lewis could knock. I don't think Diniz has the best chin. I see him get wobbled in multiple fights already. And Derek Lewis can touch that chin of his and put him out. By no means is this no high confidence, but I feel like Derek Lewis is the clear side here. Jourdain Diniz has did nothing impressive so far. And if anything, I feel like Derek Lewis could knock him on the feet, or Derek Lewis could go for like that bylock trip on him, take him down and ground up on him. Diniz really didn't show much off his back when, like both times he was taken down. In one fight, he got taken down and was about to get close to finish, but the clock saved him. And the second time, he got taken down in his last fight when his opponent finally decided to take him down after the whole fight to get his legs chewed up. He couldn't get up. So, like, he hasn't shown no real ability to get up. No type of ground defense at all. I think Derek Lewis could beat him on feet or on the ground. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Derek Lewis knocks him out on the feet or he gets him down and his ground and pounds him to a knockout. But either way, I'm saying like a second round knockout for Derek Lewis. They probably trade in the first, but then they go in the second round. And Derek Lewis is able to line him up, catch him, put him out second round. So, in this one, I have Derek Lewis via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, we got Rose Namajunas versus Erin Blanchfield. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going Rose Namajunas, low confidence to beat Erin Blanchfield. And by no means, like, again, if you can't hear, your ears don't work. I clearly said low confidence Rose Namajunas. And this is very much a pick 'em fight. I'm not saying Rose is going to blow her out of the water. I'm not saying Erin's going to blow out of the water, but I am picking Rose to win, low confidence to beat Blanchfield. I don't like the fact that this is 5 rounds. I would love this fight if it was a 3-rounder. I still would have low confidence, but I would like it a lot more for the 3-rounder. And the main reason I say that is because I feel like Namajunas, she's been looking good in her last couple fights at flyweight. I feel like she's growing into the weight class. I feel like her first fight in the weight class, she obviously fought a good fighter in Fiorot, in her first fight. And I think it was kind of like short notice and this and that, but in France and a lot of different things going on with that fight. But regardless, I feel like she's starting to grow into weight class. That was her first fight at the weight class. She took a big challenge at the weight class. But now she has been able to take 2 fights and look good in them. But I feel in both those fights, I feel she kind of stepped off the gas and allowed those fights to be closer than they should be. Like, they should have not been nearly as close as they have been. I feel like Cortez, she was dominating Cortez. If anything, she should have finished Cortez. But she allowed Cortez to, win some of those final rounds, like that 4th and 5th. I'm not saying she won the 4th and 5th, but she at least won one of those rounds on some of the scorecards because Namajunas just stepped off the gas. And we know with Blanchfield, like her last fight, she looked terrible. But one thing Blanchfield did was, despite looking as terrible as she did, she worked every single round. And that could be itch for Namajunas. Namajunas is too content to just, look good, have some moments, and then step off the gas. And a fighter like Blanchfield could just simply win by outworking her, maybe even stop her by outworking. Like Namajunas get off to a good start, look like the more technical fighter everywhere. But Blanchfield's just that little train that I think I can, I know I can, and just constantly coming, throwing ugly strikes, looking for a takedown, finally gets a takedown, and Namajunas spends too much time on her back or can't get off her back or gets her back taken and is forced to defend submissions like a large chunk of a round. And like Blanchfield, again, like she kind of has like remember at one point people were saying like she's like the female Marab, and that's true about her. She's relentless. So yeah, she can bring a tough test for Rose Namajunas. I think this is an issue that Rose has been having lately. Now I think Rose can pass it up, and I think given the fight that she's fighting, I feel like that's going to bring out the best in Rose. And now she's going to have an opponent that's going to force her to be active the whole fight, or at least more active, and an opponent she's not going to be able to step off the gas with. But regardless, I see this has been a close fight. But I think Rose is the better striker, has much better experience, and I think she's still young and in her prime. I think she's a better overall fighter. I think she'll be able to strike. Blanchfield be able to address the grappling Blanchfield for the most part. I do think Blanchfield would be able to get these takedowns, but I think Rose will be able to get back to her feet. I'll box her from distance. I'll kickbox her. Maybe throw her own submissions, or at least throw them submissions to, switch, like to get a reversal or to get back to her feet. But yeah, very, very close, tight fight. Probably going to go to a split decision no matter which way it goes, but I think Rose will have the better work, the cleaner work over 5 rounds. Blanchfield might have the higher work rate, but I think Rose will do a good job of addressing that work rate and being the more effective fighter over 5 rounds. So in this one, I have Rose Namajunas via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the flyweight division, we got Brandon Moreno versus Amir Albazi. And how do I feel about this one right here? Is I'm going low confidence Brandon Moreno to beat Amir Albazi. Yeah, another close fight here, at least on paper. Obviously, things on paper can go a lot differently than they, when the fight happens. Close on paper could be, wide as a mug when the fight actually happens. But going Brandon Moreno, low confidence to beat Amir Albazi. Was not impressed with Amir Albazi's last fight. I feel like he arguably, not even arguably, I feel like he clearly lost, but for that reason, they just wanted him to win against Kai France. I think he had one good round with grappling. Then for the rest of the fight, he couldn't get a takedown to save his life. I think he tried to push a good work rate, but wasn't landing nothing. Kai France was out striking with ease. And I think it was a pretty clear fight to score for Kai France. I picked Albazi, and I knew he lost, but they wanted to push him at that time. They pushed him, and then he was out for like 2-3 years due to surgery. So he's been out for a long time. He was out for a long time. He won the fight on paper, on the judge scorecard, but he didn't win the fight. So didn't deserve to win his last fight. Been out for a long time. We don't know if the surgery, what he's dealing with. He talking about he could have been paralyzed. So was it such a successful surgery, or is there still stuff lingering? A lot of times people have surgery. Like, do people ever fully recover from surgery? Like, oh, I'm better than ever from this surgery. Like, really ever? Like, I'm good to fight, but am I better than I ever was? Probably not, but I'm as good as I'll ever be type. That's how most surgeries go. I don't think no one gets no neck surgery, this surgery, and then they come back, healthier than they ever been. It's like slim to none. But regardless of it, I think Moreno could push a higher pace in Albazi. And I think that's really all it comes down to. I think he could push a higher pace in the grappling and striking. I think he could do a better job of controlling the position. I feel like Albazi will have a tough time controlling Moreno. Moreno's very scrambly and wiry. So Albazi might try to go for takedowns to slow down Moreno. Albazi might try to go to grappling to try to slow down Moreno. But Moreno just going to scramble, get back to his feet, continue to outwork him, make him pay. And, you try to slow him down, he's going to get back up and push at an even higher pace. And the fact that this is not at how to, Moreno also has had time to, reflect on his losses. He's been training, with Aljo. He's been training with Mighty Mouse. He's been cross-training a lot. He's been trying to patch up his holes in his game and make improvements. And, yeah. And he's been active, at least more than Albazi. Neither of them have been particularly active, but Albazi has been particularly inactive. When last time he fought, like 2021 or something? It's been like 2 to 3 years since he last fought. And yeah, again, his last performance wasn't even the best. I think Moreno's going to be able to rebound here, outwork Albazi, out-scramble Albazi. And again, I think the simple thing this comes down to is work. I don't think Albazi is such a powerful finishing striker. I don't think Moreno's such a big finishing striker. Albazi is tough. He is well-rounded. So I can't really see it. I really can't see either guy finishing each other. And I can't really see any guy having like no real big technical advantage in either area. So I just think this is a work rate fight. And I think Moreno's going to be able to have the higher work rate and limit Albazi limiting his work rate. Again, like with Albazi trying to go to the wrestling, trying to tie him down. Albazi barely could hold down Kai France. I think Moreno's not going to allow him to hold him down either. And Albazi is definitely not no Pantoja, as we have seen. So yeah, I think Moreno's going to be able to address the grappling, mixing his own grappling, and outwork Albazi. So in this one, I have Brandon Moreno via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC Fight Night, Moreno versus Albazi. And as always, thanks for watching.